television. Do you? Or do you sometimes question this? Do you sometimes even say, that's a lie? Huh? Because if you're only willing to challenge it when it's something that affects you, then this is bias. This is prejudice. I've been in other countries. I've been in countries all over the world. And I've noticed one thing that their media has in common with our media. You know what it is? They lie. They lie. Not completely. But then they don't completely lie over here either, do they? But people twist things so you get a different picture. So you can control the mobs and the masses to do what you want them to do. Is that a new technique or is that something old? How many of you know anything about the history of Rome? Anybody studied Rome a little bit? Anybody know about Nero? Remember what they did at the time of Nero? Anybody? In the year 69 AD, what happened? Great fire. Who started it? To this day, nobody knows for positive. They're furious. Because if you ask anybody from Nero's time and you said, who did this? Well, there was two political groups at the time of Nero, or at least two, and they were very much against each other. And one group said that he was out there playing his fiddle, that's where the story comes from, that he was just fiddling around when Rome was burning. He wasn't doing anything about it, because it was inciting people against the Emperor Nero. But at the same time, his group was saying, oh no, those people over there started it, and then they all resolved on one issue. This is a good chance to get rid of this little group that give us a real pain in the neck. Yeah, let's get rid of them. Boom! And they pointed right to a group of, could be Christians, could be Jews, okay? Because for the next 5-6 years, they were on them horribly until they drove them up to Masada and drove them off the cliff and killed them. How many of you know the story? When I was a kid, they told us those people committed suicide. This is the story that had been around for a long time. But it was only in the last 10 years when it came out on one of the documentaries that they did some research, archaeologists there in the area, and they said, guess what? These guys didn't commit suicide. They were assassinated. They were killed. They were shoved off that cliff. 2,000 years later, the story comes out. I'm asking myself the question, what about 2,000 years from now, what's going to come out? I'm sure of this, without a doubt. Anybody who kills innocent men, women, and children is a creep. And according to the teachings of the Torah, which is the Old Testament of the Bible, the teachings of the Zabur, which means the Psalms of the Bible, the teachings of the Injil, which means the Evangel or Gospel, and the teachings of the Quran are all in agreement that when you take life senselessly, you're the worst despicable piece of, I'm checked out and be careful what I say next, dredge. So we'll agree on that, yes or no? We'll agree. Now, does it matter to you that innocent man, woman, child lived in New York or Afghanistan? Does it matter to you? If you feel the same no matter where they were, and you feel it's wrong, raise your hand. But if you think it's only okay to feel sorry for them if they're from your side, raise your hand. Alhamdulillah. Good. We're all in agreement on this. And I'm happy to hear that. Because this is the way it should be. What really happened in Afghanistan? Now, I'm not talking about New York. I'm not talking about Washington, D.C. I'm not talking about in my backyard. I'm asking you, in Afghanistan, do we really know what happened over there even? We've had reports that have come out of there. Immediately, these reports were canceled by a company called Al Jazeera. How many of you heard of Al Jazeera? Everybody knows about them. And did you know that the alliances, they don't like this company running their stories down by coming up with these pictures and stories, and they kept telling, we want these guys off the air. How many of you know that they bombed them off the air yesterday? They're gone. They don't exist anymore. Oops! Oh, pushed the wrong button. Darn it, boy. Them old red buttons don't look like me. imagine yourself at work doing what you do, trying to report something which you believe is right, and then all of a sudden you're history. The whole company, the whole thing is gone, wiped out. Why? Like I said, today, it's a little bit too early to start asking these questions because we're all on a roll. We all know where we got to go. We got to jump up and down and be caught up in this, macho, I feel good. How about you? Yeah. What's that? I come from Texas. I watch these guys do this kind of elephant dance all the time. The good news is, Sunday morning when they sober up and go back to what they do, But I think maybe we today can start to sober up and start to think about not so much what has happened, but what's going to happen next. Because as long as we encourage people to do this, and you're encouraging people, by the way, by chanting at them and taunting them, it encourages them to do more, yes or no? I would like to give you an example. Can you imagine that a horrible thing happens to you, and you think, who did this thing to me? And you say, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. Did you do it? No, I didn't do it. Did you do it? No, I didn't do it. I really feel sorry for you. Did you do it? I didn't do it, but I think you deserve it. Oh. What'd you say? You see what's going to happen next? You're taunting me, aren't you? You say, see what I'm seeing next? But we didn't do it. What will happen? Exactly what did happen. Because when Bin Laden said the things that he said, certainly he enraged all the world against him and his I can't say it, with an iron in it, Al-Qaeda. Is that close? Hey, I got close and Bush did. In any case, we would all agree, I think, would we all agree that Osama Bin Laden is not a political science major? Yes. This man, no, this is not an ambassador of goodwill. That's not the kind of statements you make under those kind of conditions. But it's one of the statements that made me really think that there's more to this story than we know. Because if a man's got the guts to pull something like that off, and then he's got the guts to laugh in your face, but he doesn't have the guts to own up to it, that doesn't make sense. In my brief stay on this earth, which is only like 60 years, by the way, I've noticed a lot of things about terrorist organizations. Places like Ireland. How many of you remember all the terrorist things that went on with the IRA? They had these freedom fighters over there. But really what it was the Protestants against the Catholics. And any act of terrorism that happened, they would all claim, we claim responsibility. Some blows up, they claim responsibility. Something burns down, they claim responsibility. Earthquake, responsibility. Yes or no? Why would a terrorist not take responsibility for the biggest thing that ever happened and go, but I didn't do it? Or he's insane. Now there's a possibility that I won't rule out. Because I don't know him, never met the guy. In fact, I don't know anybody that knows him. And that's my story to the FBI too, by the way. Believe it or not, I wish I had met him, because I wish I could say something. Because I feel at a loss when people say, well, what do you say about him? Because in Islam, we're not allowed, it's forbidden for us to say something on somebody if you don't know the truth. You have to say, I don't know. And I wish I could say something, positive or negative, it wouldn't matter, just so I could say something definitive. And I can't. But what I can tell you is that all of what we've talked about today in Islam certainly doesn't match up what we're hearing from the newspapers and what we're hearing from the media in general. Likewise, and be sure that the media in those countries is not portraying America as the great red, white, and blue that we like to think we are. The picture that they're getting over there is some very fat cats sitting back, got everything made, we're just rocking around, bombing people to death. That's the picture they have of us. And it increases day by day. It would be good if we opened up more dialogue and allowed people to have more understanding. One of the good things that's happening here, believe it or not, is the Muslim students here in the United States, in the places